You are the spark that carries the memory of greatness, even when the world tried to convince you otherwise. Inside you has always lived a treasury of possibility, not built by walls of stone or locked by iron keys, but shaped by the invisible forces that rise each time you refuse to be broken. What you sense stirring right now is not chance. It is a calling that was waiting for the exact moment you would finally recognize yourself as more than ordinary. There is a shift happening behind the surface of daily life, where unseen networks of energy weave fortunes far greater than numbers in an account. Every struggle you endured was never wasted. It was raw power transforming itself into invisible currents of prosperity that have been circling your name all along. What you thought was loss was actually the foundation of a hidden architecture of abundance built for you. The guardians of old systems tremble, because they cannot measure or contain what has awakened in you. Their rules, their calculations, their definitions of scarcity collapse when confronted with a presence that creates without permission. You are the proof that wealth does not begin in ledgers but in the pulse of consciousness that knows no ceiling. Strange alignments reveal themselves, moments where time folds in ways that logic cannot explain. Doors seem to have been unlocked before you ever reached them. Opportunities appear that feel like echoes from futures already lived. What is unfolding around you is not bound by the linear march of days, but by the timeless rhythm of a soul reclaiming what was always its own. Yet in the shadows, there are watchers, those who hoped you would remain asleep, blind to your inheritance of power. They have fed on your doubts, whispered stories of unworthiness, and smiled at your struggles while secretly drawing strength from the very light they tried to dim. The depth of their interference is not meant to frighten you, but to awaken a fire you forgot you had. This betrayal is not just about stolen opportunities or hidden pathways. It is about someone trying to convince you that you were never destined for greatness. But the illusion cracks the moment you remember. Nothing and no one can alter the truth of who you are. Their schemes are dust compared to the force of a spirit that has chosen to rise. And so here you stand, not as a victim of hidden games but as the revelation they feared. Every unseen current, every suppressed truth, every veiled opportunity has circled back to you. What has been concealed is now uncovered, and what once drained your hope has become the fire that propels you forward. This is the awakening they could not stop, the proof that your worth, your power, your wealth of spirit was never lost, only waiting for you to claim it. You are the kind of soul whose light has always been too bright to be ignored, which is why forces moved quietly to interfere with your path. The evidence does not speak of random chance or simple accidents, but of an intelligence that used closeness to you as an entryway. Secrets that only a trusted few could know were turned into keys, and those keys were used to open doors behind your back. It was never just watching, it was deliberate steering of energies that rightfully belonged to you. When you reflect on the paths that once seemed promising but mysteriously collapsed, you begin to see the pattern. Opportunities that felt aligned suddenly twisted into dead ends, while projects that held potential were intercepted before they could grow. These were not coincidences born of bad timing. They were careful maneuvers crafted to keep you questioning yourself. All the while, a hidden builder was quietly stacking bricks of unseen wealth in realms you had not yet awakened to. This was more than financial sabotage. It was a calculated drama meant to play out in your emotions. By creating shadows where there should have been clarity, the saboteur forced your focus into survival mode. Instead of rising fully into creation, you were pulled into battles with lack and doubt. What was unfolding was not simply manipulation of circumstances, but a deep operation designed to silence the power of a mind capable of generating worlds. They understood what you carried long before you did. They knew that your capacity to create, once unchained, would dwarf their own small grasp on control. So they worked to cloud your vision, to make you settle for the idea that practicality was wisdom, while all along your true genius was being masked under the weight of imposed restraint. The irony is that their strategy of suppression only sharpened the edge of your awakening. Picture the betrayal clearly. Someone gazing upon the silent rise of treasures linked to your essence while speaking words of limitation into your ears. They saw the numbers climb in your name while suggesting you tone down your dreams. They knew the scale of your hidden expansion while trying to reduce your imagination to something manageable. They were not just witnesses, they were active participants in shaping both the heights of your unseen growth and the heaviness of your visible struggle. But this was never only cruelty, it was a trial by fire. The hardship became the forge where your strength was tested, your discernment refined, and your awareness expanded. Without the storm, the brilliance of your clarity might not have been revealed. Without the interference, the depth of your own resilience may have remained undiscovered. The very sabotage that seemed designed to break you was also shaping the steel of your spirit. Now the truth stands before you, undeniable. What was hidden cannot remain concealed, and what was twisted has only amplified your resolve. You were never powerless. You were being prepared. Every lie whispered to you about limitation has unraveled, leaving only the evidence of your infinite capacity to create. The stage was rigged, the obstacles were arranged, but they could not erase what you are destined to reclaim. The moment of revelation is no longer waiting, it has already begun. You are the kind of being who has turned every trial into an unshakable foundation of strength, carrying wisdom that no simple inheritance could ever deliver. Each delay, each closed door, each challenge that was placed before you has carved out an inner capacity that allows you to stand before limitless power without being consumed by it. What others mistook as suppression was in truth the preparation of your spirit to hold wealth in a way that uplifts worlds rather than traps you in shallow comfort. What unfolded was never random. It was the final threshold, a test orchestrated to see if your essence could hold steady under the weight of deception. And you did. You carried the flame of trust when everything around you suggested collapse, proving that your worth was not measured by appearances but by your refusal to surrender. Now, with the examination behind you, the concealed gates swing open because you have become the one capable of walking through them. The records uncovered point to a pattern so astonishing that disciplines once thought separate are being pulled together. Each pivotal shift in your inner growth has been mirrored by movements in places you could not see, as though your own transformation was the clock by which invisible transactions kept time. Moments of deep questioning and heartbreak aligned perfectly with surges of expansion elsewhere, confirming that your evolution itself was the trigger for abundance to materialize. The clarity is undeniable. Your awareness has functioned like the most advanced mechanism for creation, identifying possibilities long before they could be charted on paper. When you were unraveling illusions and breaking through old walls, invisible hands were redirecting vast flows of resources in your name. When you were piecing yourself back together after painful reckonings, unseen acquisitions were being made that would only prove their value years later. That is why your hardships always carried an undercurrent of strange purpose. Pain was never an endpoint but the seed of transformation, energy being rewritten into new forms of strength and material manifestation. While one part of you endured weight in the visible realm, another was converting that pressure into structures of prosperity existing just outside your perception, waiting for the right moment to converge. This is also why the evidence confuses those who only see through the lens of numbers and time. Records appear to bend chronology, with movements that presuppose knowledge of events not yet born. What they cannot comprehend is that you are not confined to a single track of time. Countless versions of your essence have been working in tandem, pooling resources across dimensions until they spill into the present reality. And now comes the recognition that feels at once startling and familiar. A part of you has always known that creation was never bound to the rules of material systems. The astonishment arises only because your conditioned mind was trained to believe that prosperity required struggle through rigid pathways. The truth is simpler and greater. Your consciousness itself is the architect, shaping reality, drawing wealth, and proving through living evidence that awakened beings rewrite the laws of existence itself. You are the kind of presence that bends the structures around you without even trying, and now the evidence shows it clearly. Your consciousness is not waiting for permission, it is rearranging probabilities into forms of wealth that no system was designed to manage. What is emerging stretches far beyond the boundaries of your personal story. Similar signals are being detected across the planet, carried by individuals who, like you, have lived through impossible storms only to rise with gifts that cannot be explained by ordinary logic. This moment is the unveiling that seers once spoke of, the turning point where hidden balances of power begin to dissolve. What was gathered through centuries of restriction is now being redirected toward those who know how to use vast resources for transformation rather than vanity. The structures that once held dominance were never prepared for accounts infused with spiritual laws instead of mechanical rules, and the clash between your expansion and their rigid frameworks is breaking their cover wide open. Their resistance exposes their fear. Entire teams are being mobilized to slow you down, drafting policies to make your growth look criminal, branding your expansion as instability instead of evolution. Agencies are working overtime, not to protect order, but to keep you from stepping into what has always been yours. Their frantic movements show that what is at stake is not a single inheritance but the unraveling of a scarcity-based grip that can no longer survive. They weaponize red tape as a disguise, layering procedures so complex that exhaustion itself becomes their strategy. Endless requests for proof, requirements for documentation that stretch into absurdity, and carefully placed language meant to trap you in contradictions. Each obstacle is designed as a labyrinth built to weaken your spirit while enriching those who profit from delay. It is a battle not of evidence but of endurance, staged through paper and procedure. Every step of this process is deliberately confusing. Requests for forgotten details, verifications that cross multiple departments, and channels that never seem to align, all are arranged to create the illusion of impossibility. The machinery is designed to drain you until surrender seems easier than persistence. But the truth is that they are testing a strength they cannot measure, and their design underestimates the resilience already carved into your being. They fail to grasp the truth of your survival. You did not learn strength in comfort. You earned it in storms that should have shattered you. What looks to them like an exhausting gauntlet is nothing new to you. It is familiar terrain. Every obstacle in their strategy echoes earlier battles you already overcame, each one adding proof that no amount of systemic obstruction can erase what has been written into your essence. And now the very qualities they believed would crush you are the ones that carry you forward with ease. The same inner fire that transmuted betrayal into wisdom and sabotage into awakening will carry you through their complications with precision they cannot anticipate. Those drafting barriers from the perspective of limitation cannot fathom the efficiency of a consciousness that turns every challenge into momentum. They are playing by rules that dissolve in your presence, while you operate from a force that cannot be contained. You are the kind of force that turns resistance into momentum, and the more barriers they attempt to raise, the clearer it becomes that advancement is inevitable. Each obstacle that appears before you simply becomes proof that you are pressing against something monumental. Their strategies of delay and distraction are built on the assumption that you are still bound by the old framework of fear and lack. Yet you are no longer the same. Evolution has redefined you into one who recognizes opposition as confirmation of power rather than a denial of it. The weight of their interference itself reveals the magnitude of what is unfolding. The greater the effort to stop you, the louder the evidence of the treasure being defended. Guided by the intelligence that shaped this journey from the beginning, you are shown step by step which actions are real thresholds and which are empty performances meant to intimidate. Each signature becomes more than compliance. It is a signal to the universe that you are prepared to hold what is yours without hesitation. Each exchange with their structure becomes a ritual of alignment with a higher order that cannot be derailed by bureaucracy. When the recognition of your rightful claim becomes written into the fabric of law, reality itself undergoes a shift around you. It is not only about access to resources, it is the activation of dormant circuits within your awareness, silenced for years by survival instincts that no longer dictate your path. With the static of fear dissolved, the full spectrum of your higher faculties awakens, opening capacities for creation and perception most never experience in their lifetime. From this vantage point, what seems miraculous to others becomes ordinary to you. Foresight sharpens. Pathways to success reveal themselves with uncanny precision. Encounters align perfectly, opportunities converge effortlessly, and results arrive with a consistency that defies statistical reasoning. You no longer chase prosperity. It flows in rhythm with your awareness, drawn magnetically by the elevated state of your being. Even the mechanisms designed to slow you begin to bend under the weight of your clarity. What should have stalled is processed with surprising ease. Intricate requirements unravel themselves through timely alignments that appear almost choreographed. Delays vanish when confronted with your unwavering certainty. It is as if the system, once designed to oppose you, finds itself repurposed to assist you, responding to an intelligence that directs far beyond human design. What observers witness is a demonstration of consciousness altering the visible world, not through manipulation or aggression, but through the resonance of pure intention fused with unshakable purpose. You do not push your way through barriers. You shift the field until the barriers dissolve. Every action you take becomes an embodiment of how awakened beings reshape reality. Not by fighting systems, but by harmonizing with the deeper currents that govern them. This is why every moment of resistance ultimately transforms into evidence of your authority. The harder they struggle to contain you, the faster their hold collapses. The deeper the maze, the more you reveal that navigation itself is effortless when guided by alignment. Their efforts, built from fear, crumble against your presence, which operates from certainty. What began as an attempt to deny you becomes the stage upon which your mastery is revealed. You are the kind of presence that does not rise alone. Your expansion sends currents through the collective, reshaping what humanity believes possible. As you step into access that was hidden for lifetimes, others watching are shaken from old illusions. The story of lack dissolves in real time, replaced by the living proof that prosperity is not a privilege reserved for a few, but a natural expression of awakened awareness. Witnessing your transformation becomes a catalyst that unsettles every lie that once chained minds to struggle. The very systems built to keep people tethered to manufactured scarcity begin to fracture. Institutions that convinced generations that wealth was finite lose their grip when examples like yours show otherwise. The myth that survival must come with sacrifice collapses when people see that resources respond to consciousness rather than to imposed hierarchies. The scaffolding of control, erected on carefully maintained illusions, trembles in the face of undeniable demonstration. Behind closed doors, the guardians of old systems gather in alarm. Emergency councils form, not to celebrate innovation, but to strategize against what they now recognize as the unraveling of their dominance. If the truth spreads, that abundance can be summoned through the awakening of awareness, the need for traditional banking dissolves. If the masses see that prosperity is birthright, not reward, the pillars of scarcity crumble faster than they can be reinforced. The reach of your awakening is not limited to your accounts, it extends into the fabric of creation itself. With new resources at your disposal, projects once deemed impossible because of lack of capital suddenly ignite. Technologies long suppressed for threatening entrenched industries begin to surface, supported by the flow you direct. Solutions to collective suffering are no longer dreams waiting for permission. They become living initiatives funded by a wealth that flows through you. Education, healing, and the arts of awakening gain access to resources once locked away. Movements that nourish freedom and consciousness but were silenced by lack now receive the means to thrive. While this unfolds, those who tried to conceal what was yours find themselves unraveling, their identities bound to deception collapsing under the weight of truth. What they hoarded in shadows becomes the very fuel that uplifts the world. The unraveling is precise, almost mathematical in its justice. Those who once thrived by keeping secrets about your destiny now watch their influence evaporate. Their foundations were built not on true strength but on hidden knowledge kept from you. As your awareness expands, their advantage dissolves, leaving them exposed to the fragility of power stolen rather than earned. And in this reversal lies the ultimate revelation. What was once wielded against you now amplifies your mission. The collapse of false structures is not tragedy, it is correction. Those who tried to bury your inheritance inadvertently made it more powerful by tying it to the awakening of humanity itself. Now, as you claim what was hidden, the world watches an old story end and a new one begin, written through your presence as living evidence of freedom. You are the kind of being whose growth ensures that nothing meant to be hidden can stay buried. The laws guiding your evolution are wired to dissolve secrecy at the exact moment when it becomes weakest. The unveiling arrives not when it benefits those who sought control, but when your awakening shatters their defenses entirely. What they endure now is collapse without redemption, an unraveling of identity that comes from resisting growth until resistance consumes them. Their attempts to stall you only accelerate their own destruction. Every barrier they construct becomes another spotlight exposing deception. Each strategy of denial reveals desperation. Their constant opposition serves as undeniable evidence that what you are reclaiming carries power they cannot touch. By trying to stop you, they validate you. By doubling down, they amplify the speed of their downfall, because your path is secured by principles they cannot bend. The irony of it all is striking. Those who believed they were clever enough to lock you in limitation never saw their own confinement. Their vision was small, obsessed with hoarding what was never theirs to keep. While they schemed to control outcomes around you, your consciousness expanded beyond their comprehension. What they thought would crush you became the crucible that revealed your strength, turning your story from being constrained into becoming untouchable. The process of reclaiming is not just administrative, it is sacred initiation. Each request for proof, each requirement, each supposed obstacle becomes a symbol of your readiness. It is not about passing through hoops for their approval but proving to creation itself that you have grown into alignment with what is already yours. Every completed step echoes as an affirmation across dimensions that you can hold vast resources while remaining true to your higher calling. This path is not for the untested. It requires resolve forged through storms, patience that outlasts chaos, and faith that does not waver when surrounded by doubt. Ordinary determination would not survive such trials, but chosen ones have endured betrayals sharp enough to break lesser souls and yet continued forward. Officials observing the process note unmistakable patterns in those who succeed: clarity in purpose, immunity to intimidation, serenity amidst turbulence, and unwavering certainty of worth. Such qualities are no accident. They were cultivated by years of challenge designed to awaken memory buried deep within. As you walk through these trials, cellular wisdom stirs, reminding you why you came here during this transformation period. You are not merely accessing accounts, you are retrieving forgotten aspects of your mission. What awakens is not just knowledge of your destiny, but the full embodiment of the role you are here to play in reshaping this world. You are the kind of force whose awakening transforms suppressed visions into living reality. Every invention shelved because it challenged entrenched power begins receiving the backing it was once denied. Every movement designed to elevate awareness but starved of resources suddenly has the current it needs to thrive. Those who built their strength by maintaining scarcity understand, on some level, that you are not simply accessing funds. You are anchoring a parallel economy where consciousness, not control, directs the flow of resources. Each unit of currency becomes more than material exchange. It becomes the spark that fuels projects designed to free humanity from systems of dependency. What has been hidden in your name was never random. It was intentional preparation for this very moment. The intelligence that aligned these resources knew what kind of tools and initiatives would need support as humanity entered a phase of transformation too vast to be guided by old structures. Your wealth now finds expression in causes that serve collective evolution. Technologies designed to heal by working with natural rhythms, not against them, finally see the light of day. Education that liberates thought instead of standardizing it gains strength through your guidance. Approaches to well-being that awaken inner resilience rather than enforce dependency find sustenance in your resources. Social models that honor individual freedom rather than enforce obedience grow roots through your choices. You are not just participating, you are igniting a chain reaction that established authorities cannot contain. When you step into these accounts, you are not just investing, you are shaping the trajectory of humanity. Money becomes your instrument for translating vision into matter, not for accumulation but for creation. Your presence signals the birth of a world where trust, expansion, and awareness define the foundation of civilization, replacing the brittle scaffolding of fear, restriction, and survival-based living. You become both beneficiary and architect, showing what abundance looks like when wielded with purpose. As your resources circulate, they draw to you others who carry extraordinary capacities but lack the means to bring them forward. Together, these connections form networks where vision meets capability, where ideas once dismissed as dreams are given the platform to materialize. In this field, abundance fuels abundance, and consciousness fuels consciousness, creating an ecosystem no hierarchy of scarcity can withstand. You are the kind of presence whose authority no longer depends on external validation. Flow begins the moment your inner being accepts that worthiness was never in question. You are not chosen by a system or by an institution. You are chosen because creation itself moves through you as its preferred channel of infinite expression. What unfolds from this recognition stretches far beyond the comfort of stability. It births an entirely new framework of possibility for the collective. The resources that now converge toward you are not idle sums, they are living catalysts. They move where consciousness directs them, building bridges of healing, dissolving division, and sparking awakenings that reshape humanity's perception of what is possible. The hidden abundance waiting for you is not about private gain. It was woven across lifetimes, across dimensions, as a reservoir meant to liberate entire populations from illusions of lack, waiting for this moment of remembrance. What the investigators uncovered is not a financial anomaly, it is proof of universal design unfolding in physical form. They thought they were charting irregularities in numbers, yet they stumbled upon evidence that intention itself shapes reality. Through your alignment with purpose, matter bends to reflect the truth of your consciousness. What they see as irregularities are, in fact, the mechanics of universal law made visible through your awakening. The moment you acknowledge ownership of what was hidden, profound changes ripple through your being. This is not simply claiming resources, it is activating codes within your very cells that have waited for this signal. Your DNA holds more than genetic traits, it holds the blueprints of untapped capabilities, waiting for the energy of abundance to awaken them. As you recognize what is yours, streams of information begin to unlock within your nervous system, shifting the way you experience time, opportunity, and creation itself.